Well, there really is no other way to start this video to say than, hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm very angry right now. Hope you are too. Now, if you're new here, whether you are a comic book fan, a superhero fan, or just someone who stumbled onto this video, I want to say welcome, get comfortable, and enjoy yourself. And I'm saying all this before I get too mad. But specifically, if you are a Silk fan, then I want to say this. If you are angry, well, you are justified, and this is a safe space for you to vent your anger, as I too am also a Silk fan. In fact, I would say that Silk is my #1 favorite character in all of comics right now, and I want to say that if you want to vent, please feel free to do so in the comments below, and if you wouldn't mind smashing that thumbs up button, that really helps me out. And if you really like this content, or maybe you just kind of understand where I'm coming from and you don't necessarily have to agree with me, you can hit that subscribe button, and that really helps me out and maybe gives you more content that you as a Silk fan who is very probably constantly angry all the time can identify with for once. And this video is going to be a rant because I see no other way to process or talk about the recent news. And that is when I saw this crawl across my timeline, that the Silk series, Silk Spider Society, was canceled by Amazon just 2 years after its announcement. And on the 10-year anniversary of the character, no less, I mean, there really is no true greater form of disrespect. But all this really does for me is provide me with the proof to show you that these studios simply do not care. They do not care about these stories. They do not care about the artistic integrity. They do not care about the work and the soul that has gone into all of this. They care about nothing more than profit. They do not care about the artistic integrity. They do not care about the characters and what they mean to us. They do not care about all the work that has previously been put into these characters. No, because all they do is see this as IP, intellectual property, and a means to get more money. But some of you actually might think that there is a middle ground to be had here, and I'm here to tell you no. No, there is not. And there's probably someone out there saying, oh, look at this nerd getting mad about a book. Come here, come real close, come real close. If you were gonna sit there and tell me that nothing in this world has ever touched your heart to the point that you would get attached and worked up over it, well, you must be the most uninteresting human being imaginable. And your life probably sucks because you can't get worked up over anything and you don't have a soul. But if you do care about something like that, and you can get worked up over something that you might even look at in hindsight and say, that was kind of silly, well, good. You may actually have some hope yet. And you're goddamn right I care about these characters. You are goddamn right that I am attached to these fictional, non-existent characters. You know why? You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because selfishly, they mean something to me. And why do they mean something to me? Well, that's because these stories are entertainment for me. These stories are something that when a good writer puts in a great effort, or maybe even a voice actor like Kevin Conroy puts in a masterful performance, you know what? It actually touches me. It actually touches my soul because there is humanity in all of it. And so yes, I'm gonna get worked up about it. But what truly pisses me off the most about all this is the fact that there was a rumor coming out that Amazon, quote, wanted to reconfigure the show so it is not hanging so heavily on the central character of Silk, end quote. So what the fuck was the point of that then? And so it's become clear now to reporters that Amazon intends to shift the focus onto more male gaze sort of content, like The Boys, Venom, and an upcoming show called Noir, based on Spider-Man Noir starring Nick Cage. And listen, I have no problem with that, but I ask the question again, what was the point? And so from that whole report, you can kind of see that Amazon basically looked at Silk as a character probably the same way Dan Slott did in her origin story. Because as far as money goes, I could have told Amazon this was not a recipe for cash. So if I were to speak to Amazon right here, right now, retrospectively, what would I say? I would say, did you really think Silk, with a minuscule, and I mean minuscule fan base, was going to lead to a huge amount of profit? And then trying to find an actress in their 30s to late 20s to play Silk, where exactly would you find a A-lister actor? I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Because every single time a woman at all gets into a role, let alone a woman of color gets into a specific role, especially a leading role in any show of any kind, no matter how small it is, the incels will always say that it's woke shit. Now, if we're just being honest, now I'm talking to you as me, that's ridiculous. And I actually support all of those things. I actually support getting into smaller demographics and allowing actors, actresses of all kinds to get roles where they might not have previously. I want new artists and creators to be able to get those opportunities. That is a good thing. It's refreshing in general for the industry. I don't really think you should ever have any arguments with it. But the problem, as I said at the beginning of this, is that studios simply do not care about those things like you and I do. They care about profit. The other thing too is like Silk, there's positives to it because Silk is a largely unknown character in terms of the content. We have sort of a theme of what she is in her comics, and that's mostly focused on her mental health and a little bit of her heritage and her culture. But for the most part, her supporting cast, while good, it's mostly just building blocks. They really have been completely untouched, and as creatives, you could make a world completely onto your own. You could create new and real characters that you want to do. A couple of the creators of the Spider-Verse were involved in this, and they obviously have experience in that, but I would also add that doing animation versus live action, yeah, as I've stated before, not the same thing. But once again, I'm just gonna say it, and it is just so clear that studios will always get in the way of creativity. The only example I can think of where it seemed like they really just kind of kept their hands off of things was in the show that just finished their finale most recently, and that is the incredible show that is X-Men 97. That show allowed its creators to have full reign to do whatever it is they wanted to do. They were allowed to be the artists that they were, and they were artists that understood the source material, they understood the fans, they understood what they wanted to do, and they weren't inhibited by anything, it seems pretty clearly to me after 10 episodes. But at the end of the day, I gotta be honest, as a Silk fan, this is a blessing in disguise for me because I was not ready to deal with the discourse that might have come out of this show. And if you're a Silk fan that wanted to see a show, I gotta be honest, like, I don't think you should be disappointed. I'm sorry, I'm not on that end of things. I am not okay with, for the reasons that I've mentioned, that I don't see any good faith reason why a studio would pick up Silk. It's just a character that has no real cultural awareness sort of thing, and they were never going to do it justice, and you probably weren't going to like it unless you were just so starved for it to the point where you would blind yourself to what terrible content it would be. And that's the thing. What they might do is make it a popular show, but it's so watered down to the point where you would barely be able to recognize the character, and that is not some pain I'm willing to go through. And of course, there's the other side of it where it just ends up terrible. Generally, no one likes it, and it's just ragged on for years and years and years, and you end up with a Fox-level Cyclops situation. But that is the end of my rant, everyone. I'm gonna need some time to recover from this, but like I said, make sure to drop your comments below. Let me know what you think of the whole situation, and remember to drop a like if you agree with what I've said here today, and even if you understand where I'm coming from but don't fully agree, that would be much appreciated. And if you really, really liked it, make sure to subscribe for more content just like this, and I'll see you all in the next one.